How many payouts have you had from Sendex so far?
3, I think.
Which one was your top payout?
21.5k.
What would you say, look, some of your daily habits are at the moment?
What I do is I wake up, pray, go to the gym, come back, and just be ready for the charts.
You know, you've got a level of success, probably a level of discipline. Okay, what would you say to either your past self?
I'd say it's not really about your trading strategy. There's many that can win 50% of the time and still be profitable.
You know, as I said, for anyone sort of listening, what would you tell them to sort of look out for, or to, you know, to bear in mind?
The biggest advice I'd give is...
So Armash, thank you for coming in with us today, coming to speak to us. If you just want to sort of introduce yourself, just to everyone that obviously doesn't know you.
Sure, yeah, so my name's Armash, otherwise known as Zamco Capital. I've been trading for 6 years and I became profitable in my 6th year after I got married.
Nice. Well, do you know what? That's funny enough. That's one of the things I actually wanted to dive into and obviously ask you, but I'll come back to that in a minute, because I know you sort of mentioned that before. But I mean, just you know, before we sort of go into that, Armash, tell me, you know, how long have you been with us now? Because obviously we were speaking at one of our events not too long ago.
Yeah.
I had the chance to sort of find a little bit more about you. And I think that was at our trader conference event in Canary Wharf about a month ago now. Mm-hmm. Which was really good to obviously get a chance to speak to you. But yeah, I mean, look, how long have you been with the Sendex? How long have you been trading with us?
I think I've been trading with the Sendex for 2.5 months almost.
Right, okay. And how have you been
3.
finding it?
I like it. I mean, the support is amazing. I think the support is the best I've ever seen throughout any prop firms.
Nice.
I mean, considering, issues come up, but, you guys are handling it very well and really addressing each issue and being very transparent.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's really good to hear. I mean, look, we have had our problems.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, we I think due to sort of migration and issues that have sort of come about, we've been inundated with, high influx of tickets and issues. For us, at that point, we were understaffed. So, you can't just click your fingers and next minute you've got, double the amount of staff. But I think, look, we're in a place now where we're able to, to sort of come from a good place and sort of state that, we have, since then, we've doubled our support staff. We've now got tickets back to, where they should be. Payouts back to people being paid out within 48 hours of requesting. So I think, look, we have had our issues, as you sort of stated, but luckily, we've finally getting back to where we were. So, but look, it's good to hear, good to hear your feedback and that you're still with us and you're happy with the support. So I appreciate that. So thank you. So tell us, look, I mean, going back to what you originally sort of stated, you're now married. I know that from what you were sort of saying to me is that previously, before sort of becoming married, you could say struggling with your trading. Would that be correct to say?
Struggling. I'd say that.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about that. Tell us what sort of got you to where you are now, and when you were struggling.
Sure. So initially, I was struggling with a lot of, I guess, discipline was the main one. Discipline. I was quite impulsive. I didn't stick to my plan. Things like that. And I guess after getting married, I had to become more considerate of people. Considerate of my wife.
Of course.
So every decision that I made is now more calculated.
Because you've got other people depending on you.
Exactly. So people depending on me. I'm more calculated in my decisions. Mm-hmm. So when that comes to trading, I have to now consider things whilst I'm entering a position. Let's say I have to consider a lot of aspects. I need to really calculate why I'm entering, where I'm entering, and etc.
Right.
And previously that wouldn't be the case because I was quite impulsive. So now I can't be impulsive because I can't be like that with my wife.
So would you say that, you're talking about, let's say, the risk element. So for example, before you were maybe married, you might have taken more risk. Would that be safe to say?
I still think I'm taking, risk-wise, I think it's still the same.
Right.
I still take quite a few risks and my wife understands it and she understands, you need to take risk. Fair enough. But I understand what you mean. In one aspect, I have become less risk averse. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Because now I've actually reduced my position sizing overall. I don't actually like being in the markets.
Okay.
I try to risk very little, 0.25% of my funded accounts.
Okay.
Before it would be 1%, 2%, 3% every
So
trade.
You have changed your risk then, so to
I guess
say.
so, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. And talk to me about the discipline side of things. So you said now that you're much more disciplined. What have you Tell me about that. What have you sort of implemented that is making you more disciplined? You know, I know obviously you've talked about, you know, you are now married, I understand that, but how, you know, what have you done to help become more disciplined? Just from what you just said there, you know, for me, that sounds like you've changed the risk dramatically. If you think about it, you know, from what you'd risked before to what you're risking now, it's quite a big difference.
I guess with discipline, I would say it's more to do with how I am as a person in terms of my day-to-day things that I do. So it's like going to the gym on time, waking up, doing all of that. And then I guess religion comes a big part. Like the more religious I get, the more disciplined I get.
Yeah.
I don't know how discipline has really changed. It's more being aware. My wife made a very strong comment that still sticks with me. It was, why don't you just stick to your trading plan for 1 week?
Mm-hmm.
And that clicked. Like, what, for 5 years I haven't stuck to my trading plan for even 1 week.
Really?
So that instantly made me think, wow, this whole time I haven't really thought about it. I haven't stuck to just my plan for 1 week.
So you know, you've now said that you know, you've now become profitable, shall we say, right, since being married. So would you say that your wife, she's had a massive part to play with that, you know, just from some of the things even there, you know, highlighting, you know, from someone who obviously cares and from an outsider's point of view, just sort of saying, look, you know, stick to a plan. I think consistency is key. You know, with anything in life, if you stick to something, you've got a plan, you stick to it. We're very, you know, it's very easy in life with no matter what you're doing, especially trading, to sort of, you know, divert off that plan, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I say it all the time, just consistency. You know, it's like the picture you see with the guy with the pickaxe,
yes,
you know, when he's like digging for gold or diamonds. Yeah. And, you know, it's about being consistent, because you don't get success overnight, right? It becomes from just being consistent and chipping away at the same thing over and over again. So yeah, would you say, you know, being married has really, really helped? Absolutely.
One point that was also made to me by my wife was, you give up too easily in terms of any arguments or whatever there might be in marital problems. We might try something, or I might try something, but then I'm like, oh, it's not working. Yeah, we're still having these issues. And she just said to me, you know, just trust the process, just keep doing it, because, you know, we get glimpses of it working. Even if it doesn't work, it's overall, we know if we stick to this, it will work. Yeah, of course. So she said to me, you know, try to just stick to it, stick to the plan, again, trading plan, stick to your plan regardless, and over time it will work out. That's really interesting. So what would you say, look, some of your daily habits are at the moment? So let's say, you know, again, you know, you're profitable at the moment, right? Yeah. You're doing well, and touch wood, you know, obviously it stays like that. You know, what would you say that your daily habits are? How are you sort of preparing yourself to go into a trade, or preparing yourself to be trading on that daily basis? Well, I do need to go to the gym. Yeah. That really helps, because, again, I'm going to talk about my wife quite a lot, but no, it's good. I mean, look, it's, you know, I'm recently just married, so I know how that feels. Oh, forgot about that. Congratulations. Thank you. She would say, what was it? When going to the gym, whenever I would come back, my mood would just be better. Like the way I am with her, it would just be better. And the days that I don't, I'm just sitting around, I do tend to be quite more irritable and things like that. I can totally relate to that. Yeah. So going to the gym helps. On top of that, again, bearing in mind that I need to stick to my plan. So what I do is I wake up, pray, go to the gym, come back, and just be ready for the charts. Yeah. And I have my setup now. So all I do is just quick view my phone, see where the market's at. If it's not in my zone, leave it. You leave it. And then if I don't get my setup during London session, I know that in New York Stock Exchange session, when NASDAQ opens up, I know that's where I will find my trade. Okay. So because knowing that it has a proven edge, well, that's another thing. Proving over time that the strategy does work. Yeah. So over time, proving that the strategy works, that helps with me staying disciplined to my trading strategy. And you mentioned just before that, you know, religion. Okay. Yes. So, you know, you're the religion side of things. Do you think that helps? Has that helped you? Absolutely. I would say it does, because there's lots of things to consider with being religious. As a Muslim, we pray 5 times a day. So again, that takes a level of discipline where habit, like in a sense, yeah. Exactly, habit. And sometimes you might not feel like it, but you know you have to. So I guess that's the whole idea of discipline. Yeah. Doing things you sometimes might not feel like it, you still do it. Yeah. So that's definitely a helpful thing, because I might want to just take a trade for no reason, but I know I have that urge to just enter a trade, but I know that long term it's not going to work out. I should just stay disciplined. I know I don't like this feeling because I want to enter. Avoid it, like, just take it on the chin. Just take it on the chin. Whatever, it doesn't feel good. You know that later on it's going to come anyways.
And when you are, so like you said, if you on a daily basis, you're trying to, you're going into the markets and you're looking at the London session. If it's not quite there, you're going into, into the US markets. And what would you say that you've had the most success from? What sort of pairs or sessions? What do you tend to trade?
I only trade NASDAQ now.
Right. Okay.
US 100.
Can I ask why? What's the reason behind that?
Okay. Well, the reason is it tends to behave how it should. What I mean by that is we can trade. I used to trade every pair, right. Euro USD, GBP USD, whatever. But their behaviors, sometimes they just don't correlate with what I expect should happen. But NASDAQ, everyone always says whenever they trade in NASDAQ, their life changed. Trade indices. And I just thought, why? I didn't really care. But then now that I've stuck to it and I've actually watched how consistent it is in terms of what it should do, I was amazed. So that's why I kind of just stuck to just trading NASDAQ, because I see that just works most of the time. Even just backtesting, I can see 80% of the time it just works and really good.
So would you say that, since you've just taken that, you've been disciplined with that and just focusing just on one area, like you said, sort of the NASDAQ, would you say that's played a massive role in the success you've had recently with being profitable?
That is the reason. Yeah, I would say that is the reason. After staying with just trading NASDAQ, it's just like my win rates have skyrocketed.
Right.
It's actually insane.
So how are you, so just remind me, with us at the moment, max funded, what are you at the moment?
Sitting at 1 million.
Okay, nice. And that's across what platforms?
AscendX, FTMO, Funded Next, and Alpha Capital Group.
Right. Okay. And how do you find us compared to, let's say, some of the competitors? How's your time been with us, and how are you finding the trading?
Okay, well, the experience, I'd say support wise, I have to give it to you guys, because with other firms I feel like I'm just a number or just a ticket. A lot of people have said that. Yeah, it's good to hear. With you guys, sometimes I might just be talking in the chat and one of the mods would just ask me, yo, what's up, how was that the other day or whatever. They would just actually talk to me as a human. And if I have a problem or a ticket that I raise, they talk to me as if I'm a person, rather than, please sir, check this or whatever. It's more personalized.
Well, that's what we've always tried to aim to really sort of keep, and that was our goal. Look, as you grow larger and bigger, it is quite difficult, and I understand that, but that's something where we've always wanted to, we don't want to steer away from. It's having that sort of personal touch with everyone, and if it means that, as we grow, we're taking on more people and still trying to keep that, we want it to be a good environment, right? Everyone can come in and they're not just another number. Like I said, we've met previously at some of our events, and it's nice to have a familiar face, and we're always very open, and it's good to build a relationship with people that are with us, and hearing your feedback. So that's quite nice. So I really appreciate that. So tell me, with with your sort of let's say your risk on a daily basis. So I know that you going back to it, you mentioned that your risk 0.25%.
Yeah, 0.25. Yeah.
Okay, and regarding your trades at the moment, where would you say what's been your most successful trade with that strategy?
My most successful trade would be, and so what do you mean in terms of like profit wise?
Like profit wise, yeah. Where would you say what's been your most profitable trade with only risking 0.25?
I would say I guess it was the payout that I had from you guys, which was 21.5k. That was, I think, nice. In one trade. I did get a 40k trade with FTMO, but I did risk a bit more than 0.25.
Right. Okay.
I do deviate at times.
So again, it is safe to say that you've been very profitable since obviously putting in these new.
Absolutely.
That's really nice to hear. So okay, just as we're sort of talking about that, what would you any advice that you'd give anyone else that you could potentially say struggling or experiencing losses? What would you say to your past self? Now you are where you're at. You've got a level of success. I think probably a level of discipline. Okay, what would you say to either your past self or even to someone else who's looking at coming into this space or potentially even struggling like you previously once were?
I'd say it's not really about your trading strategy. There's many that can win 50% of the time and still be profitable. It's more to do so with who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would say, well, for speaking about men, it's a bit more, I can talk about that a bit more. It's in the sense that if you do what you need to do as a man, you are a true man, you will be a successful trader, because there's qualities of being a good man, which is being disciplined, being calm, being collected, calculated, everything like that. When I was learning how to trade the 1 minute chart, I would stare at it for like 8 to 16 hours a day, just on my phone constantly, whether it's in the shower, whether I'm eating, whatever. I'll be staring at that 1 minute chart to understand how it moves and why it moves and where it goes. So unless you're willing to put in that level of effort where you're genuinely putting in work, hours and hours, you're not going to get anywhere with your strategy, because without that work, you're just dabbling in and out.
Yeah.
You're not building the understanding of why price needs to move here or where it's going. You're just kind of looking at a chart. That's it. You're not understanding it.
So you mentioned, regarding when your wife actually said to you, about not being consistent and following your plan. I just want to dive into that a little bit more, and obviously find out, why you thought, what the reasons were behind you maybe not being consistent. Okay, so throughout that period, you touched on not being consistent for more than a week, right? Why do you think that was?
I think it comes down to, I believe, how I grew up. If I want to take a deep dive into it, it's more to do with how I grew up. I was always in a protective bubble. Yep. I was given almost everything I wanted. So I never had to work to get what I want. And everything was given to me. And anything I disliked, it was taken away from me. It's like, all right, fine. Just don't make him upset.
Right.
Like I was always just given everything. And I think that negatively impacted me in the sense that when I did fail, let's say a trade loses, I do my strategy, but it doesn't work.
You sort of give up.
I kind of tended to give up quick and start to just impulsively enter different trades, different strategy and whatnot. And I kind of just go all over the place. So I think that element of my childhood really affected that, in terms of I just give up too easily.
That's really interesting to hear the sort of psychology behind that. So now, with sort of understanding that and knowing that, and now, would you say that you're a lot more consistent? Would you say that you try and see things out, and if it doesn't go your way, how do you sort of deal with that?
Well, I've seen that over time, I am very consistent in terms of just trading NASDAQ. So now I kind of just took away all the pairs from my watch list, and it's just NASDAQ on the chart, and that's all I ever look at. And I know that 80% of the time it just works. So even if I do lose, it's like, well, I know I'm probably going to win the next day or the next 2 days. So it's just knowing that your strategy does work and having that confidence in terms of looking at past trades, forward testing, back testing. This strategy works. So now that you know that and it's confirmed, just stick to it now.
So tell me, if you, with that in mind, and let's say, you take a massive loss today, right? How are you sort of, preparing yourself going into the next day after having a big loss, or, let's say a bad day within the markets? How are you preparing yourself? How do you go into the next day?
I just wait for the same setup to show itself.
Right.
It's as simple as that. I know that with my strategies, NASDAQ will sweep a low or a sweep a high in terms of Asian liquidity. Yeah. And I know most of the time it's going to take the other side. So I'm only looking for one type of direction. So if it takes the top, then I know I'm only looking to sell. So I know that most of the time it's going to work. So that's kind of just, I just wait for that the next day. If I do lose one, I know the next day it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, of course. Okay. And when you're obviously being at funded stage is quite different to, going through the challenges.
Yeah.
For anyone listening or anyone, wanting to, taking advice, etc., what would you say to people that, if they are listening to you, what you would do or what you'd recommend to do when you are going through those challenge stages, trying to get funded? How do you prepare yourself? How do you go into the challenges rather than, let's say, when you've got a funded account?
I wouldn't recommend what I do. And the only reason I can do it is because I've had a few previous payouts. So I kind of have a little bit of a bank to be able to lose a few challenges.
Yeah.
I risk the daily drawdown on every trade.
Right.
But I know that 80% of the time it works. So most of the time I will get through the phase 1 and phase 2. And the moment I get funded, I instantly drop it to 0.25%.
So you risk a bit more when you're at the challenges.
Yeah,
as
with
soon
the
as you go to
challenges.
funded, you assess your risk and bring it right back down again.
Yes. And that's mainly due to my impatience. I know the strategy works. I can do it slowly, and I know that it will probably still work. But
you're rushing to get funded as quick as possible.
Yeah. The moment I get funded, then I know, okay, cool. Now I have things to work with. I just need to get that stage.
And now that you're funded, I mean, look, you've touched on you'd risk 0.25%, right, of your account. At what point is a cutoff point for you on a daily basis? What have you got a figure in mind that you say, right, I'm going to make, if I make this, I'm out? Or is there, what's the psychology when you are trading? What do you look for on a day-to-day basis?
I don't have a set target on a daily basis. It's more, now I'm aiming for 5% a month, because now with the amount of funding that I have, I know that's going to be insane amounts of money. And because I know that I don't need to make much in a day. I aim for around 1.25% profit in a week.
Yeah.
Because I know in a month, across all my accounts, it's going to be like 5%.
Yeah. Okay. And, you touched on being funded with multiple other companies. Have you ever, what's your thoughts or views on the prop space at the moment with, you're hearing some people, not being paid out or sort of bad experiences? Have you experienced anything like this within, you have?
Of course, yeah, I have.
Okay. I mean, look, I'm not asking you to sort of name names, but it's just sort of interesting to get your views in regards to, what you've been through, what you do maybe when you're trying out a new firm, or, how, what you sort of think of the space at the moment.
I think now what I do is I look at who runs the firm.
Right.
If it's just some famous Instagram trader who everyone knows their strategy and they're just trying to sell you something, they become really famous on Instagram and they just open their own firm. Those are the people I know to stay away from. When I looked at AscendX, I actually had way more trust in you guys because I knew you come from a business background. You don't, it's not like you were just famous traders and made your own firm. You're actual business owners coming with a backing of capital, with knowledge of how to run a business. So I guess looking at who runs the firm, that's a huge thing that I look at.
Okay. It's interesting. I think, a lot of people have sort of mentioned the same. And to be honest, I think you're right, because you sort of see people coming into the space, and as I've mentioned before, the small minority will give the space, let's say, bad reputation, right? Yeah. And you sort of seeing people come in and offering crazy things, which is all well and good, but it's if their company's sustainable, if they've got the plan, if they know what to do, right? And you've got some really, really good companies, and then obviously you've got some, not so good ones. Some of the bad. Tell me a little bit more about some of the bad experiences that you've had.
Okay, so the worst experience was in March. Sorry.
Right.
I was waiting for a $13,000 payout. That would be my biggest payout I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I had to wait 3 months of being told, please, sir, just wait, migration and all these issues, just to find out that they deny my payout. And the reason why was because they manipulated my actual trades to show that I copy traded between 2 accounts at the exact same time, which I knew was impossible because I manually go from one to the other.
Right.
But the trades that they showed me was the exact same second on both accounts. So I know that they've tampered with all of that. So yeah, being denied a 13,000 payout was, I think, the biggest hit.
How did that make you feel at that point? I suppose
I made it in my head that I have to pick reputable firms. I can't go for these crazy discount ones. I need to pick a good firm that actually has good backing.
We must have come just after that then, if that was in May. When did you join us? You've been with us, you said, a couple of months now, is that right?
It was in April, May. So
right, okay.
I kind of
you
knew
had us at the same time.
Yeah, so I had you guys at the same time because as my payout was being delayed and everything, I had an idea that they're not going to pay me because they were posting stupid fake payout certificates and things like that. So I knew, okay, I'm not going to get paid from them. I need to stop waiting on that, do something about it. Yeah. So that's why I looked at you guys.
Good. So how many, tell us, how many payouts have you had from AscendX so far?
3, I think.
And which one was your top payout?
the 21.5k.
21. And what were the other two payouts?
The other two were only like less than 1,000. It's only because it's only recent.
That's when you started. Yeah.
No, not even started. It's afterwards, actually, just
really?
recently, because I've been focusing on trying to get funding from other firms that I kind of dabble in AscendX, just get myself out of drawdown. When I'm a bit profitable, just like even in a bit of profit, just leave it and wait for that payout. But trade other firms, just trying to pass. I'm sure my main objective right now is to pass as many accounts as possible. I'm not really trading the funded that much.
Interesting. And as I said, for anyone sort of listening, what would you say? What would you either tell your past self, or anyone that's looking to get into this industry? What would you tell them to sort of look out for, or to to bear in mind?
In this industry, do you mean prop firms or just trading?
I think just trading as general. Whether if they are wanting to to get into the trading space, or they're already with a prop firm, and they're maybe not having as much success like your previous self. What would you what advice could you potentially give them?
The biggest advice I'd give is journal every single trade, regardless of if it's a win or a loss. Because even me, I know I have a habit, but most people, they screenshot the good trades, the winning trades. They just screenshot that. They're like, oh look, I see it worked out. They
show your winnings, don't show your losses.
Yeah, they don't show their losses, then they don't screenshot those and actually understand what did you do wrong. They don't really go through that whole process of journaling the bad trades, because that's where you're going to learn.
Nice, good answer. Okay, well look, again, thank you so much for coming on with us today. Really, really appreciate your time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to your many more payouts with us.
Thank you.